So when I'll save some time by doing a little recap. So when we last left off, the Jewel Crabs were trying to get into the Midnight House. There was Team Sewers and Team Bathhouse. It turns out that
Bathhouse did a bad job.
Well, it turns out
we tried.
We tried.
Varix was planning all along to have this happen. And the sewer, he knew that everyone was in the sewer. He knew who everyone was. So he revealed that he had access to some harp technology and was basically creating his own little dungeoneering thing, but it was much more dangerous. You guys fought a crocodile. He was creepy at Niramor and Moana. Then he revealed that Eldorian was being held in a sewer. You guys got past the crocodile, got into the sewer, were trapped in a cage, and then Eldorian was pulled out of the cage. And Niramor and Moana were put into the cage. You tried to fight back, but you realized that all of his guards were flesh golems, and the cage was magically sealed, which is, it's a real tricky situation. Then Fanoa, he tried to get the papyrus from Fanoa, an important papyrus that you don't know much about.
Don't forget we stabbed him in the wrist.
We stabbed him in the wrist.
That's the next part.
That's my favorite part.
He grabbed for the papyrus. Nyx grabbed his hand, and who stabbed him in the wrist?
Moana.
All right, nice job. Moana stabbed him in the wrist.
I really everybody.
And then then in anger, he pulled his hand out, pulled the knife out, and went to stab Eldorian. And just as he was raising the knife to make the final blow, this guy shows up. Hold on.
It's our friend, this guy.
This fella. This old
friend.
Featherman? Is that his last name?
Yeah, Featherman.
Featherman.
His last name is actually Greencoat. Because of his
checked out
family. So this guy, and he says, "Enough games, Varix." Sorry, he says, "Enough games, Varix." And this is where you've left off. So now I've stalled as much as I could. Let us begin. So this elf comes in, coat sweeping behind him, and Eldorian addresses him as her father. He looks down with a blank expression of just sort of general disdain, and he says, "Varix, the papyrus is no longer necessary. My troops have occupied the Luxiana Delta territory. We have driven the druids out. It is ours. The agreement that we had is changed. I have absorbed my daughter's debt, and she now belongs to me. You have no right to kill her." And previously he seemed completely consumed by rage, and his expression just changes, and he throws the knife to the side and shrugs, and he says, "That's too bad. Well, I suppose there was always a chance that it could have gone this way." And he goes over to the cage and looks right at Fanoa and says, "Was pretty smart, Fanoa. If you had given me the papyrus, I would have just killed your friend. But now, I don't need it. Your home, the swamp, won't be a swamp for too much longer.
Finoa is just stunned. She has nothing to say.
And Liramir Greencoat, who hasn't actually, I think, did I say what his name was? Okay, now I guess Varix is going to right now. Well, Liramir, I suppose it's good we got our hands on that source of druidic magic. Not a lot of those left, are there? No, and we'll need it. What do you plan to do with the rest of these people? Oh, I was just going to get more crocodiles and feed them to them. And Eldorian says, no, you can't. And Liramir says, Eldorian, it's time for you to take responsibility. You have a lot to learn. It's time for you to come with me home to Green Coast, where you belong. I'm not going anywhere with you. And he snaps, and Eldorian just falls asleep, and he picks her up, like she's nothing, and starts to walk away. But then you hear an explosion from upstairs, and you hear shouting, and so you see from the stairs several gnomes in full battle armor come in, and they just start shooting off magic missiles from wands and swinging pole arms around, and the all of the guards move to face them, and they just cut the guards down, and then you see from behind this just SWAT team of gnomes, you see Talmash, and he's accompanied by two dwarves. And the dwarves, you know what Talmash looks like, but the dwarves look like this. One is a larger dwarf with a big axe in armor, and one is an older, gray-bearded dwarf with a very serious look. They look like that. And Talmash says, "This is a raid. You people, you are using harp technology illegally. Where's Big Jermaine? I'll fucking kill him." And the dwarf looks over the proceedings kind of silently, with as if he's taking stock of everything that's going on. And Varric says, "You have no right to be here." And Talmash says, "I have every right. You see this guy here?" And he points to the dwarf. "This is a Justicar." "That's right, I brought a Justicar. I have the law on my side. Unlike this illegal gambling operation and infringement on hard property." "You're going away for a long time, Varix." "That's right, I know who you are. I've looked you up. I know your story." And what is this? Illegal detaining of competitors in my Dungeoneers League? I don't think so. And
yeah, illegal. Varix.
And then another person appears. Just
party's getting too crazy.
You see, I know, right? It's a lot of people. You see a human male, and he just sort of, it's almost like he just sort of starts appearing from the head down, just sort of sweeping his hands down, and as he does, he is appearing under himself. and he says, "Not so fast. You have no legal right to be here. This is an entirely legal operation. We are on a kobold reservation, therefore it doesn't fall under the jurisdiction of the king." And they just start, and you recognize this human, Fanoa, as Auric, one of your fellow cohort, who is dressed like a barrister. He's wearing like a little, like, powdered wig.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And they start just arguing. And the Justicar says, "Enough!" That's the dwarf. "There is clearly some real debate over the legality of several things I am seeing here. Luckily, I am a Justicar of Masmoraz and its surrounding environs, which means this Kobold Reservation is in my jurisdiction, and so is Sarpedon. So, first off, Varix, I am commanding you, and mind you, I am doing this with the authority of the king. Release these prisoners, and we will determine what is happening." "What? They are trespassers in my property." "Varix, now." And Auric just nods at him. And Varix shrugs and presses a brick on the wall, and the cage slides down. Do you guys want to do anything now that you're free?
I'm still too stunned. I just sit on the floor.
Can I try to punch Varix again?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I don't have my character sheet open.
You need that.
I'm a bad girl.
Happen on the job.
I haven't had to roll yet. I didn't think about it. I'm gonna very slowly run over to him. And what do I add to it? What do I add to my roll?
Hold on, that's from Tig.
Just for punching him in the face.
Tig's laptop's being a jerk.
Yeah.
So you roll an attack without proficiency.
Without proficiency. 12.
Okay. You run over and you try to start swinging at him, and the large dwarf with the axe moves very quickly, and he grabs your arm and he just looks at you through his helmet, and you see in the helmet, surprisingly, large, kind blue eyes, and he says, "You don't want to do that."
I really do. I really do. But I stopped, so.
He's your guidance counselor.
"Now then," says the Justicar, "I will hear arguments. Let's start with this first issue, the issue why I came here. This illegal use of harp technology. I was told, Talmash, you told me you had a recording of this. And Talmash says, "Yes, Niramor, I need you to come over here."
I look back at my friends, but I do approach them.
Okay. He says he goes up to you, and he looks up at you expectantly for a second, and then he's like,
Oh, I'm down.
So you bend down, and he touches your forehead and whispers something, and suddenly a light fills your eyes, and you step back. And hold on, there's another message from Tank. Oh, okay. And an image projects on the wall, and he says, "I'm showing you a recording from just 1 hour ago." And you see, you see, you're looking at Moana and then looking at Varix, who is walking over to his globe, and he's starting to open it. And then Oryx says, "That is illegal. You cannot consider that as any sort of legal evidence." And he just kind of comes over and just covers your eyes, and he says, it's illegal. You cannot consider it as legal evidence. This will not hold up. And
My testimony.
Talmash says, what are you talking about? And he says, according to the Illusions Act of 9718, it is illegal to consider illusionary magic as legal evidence of past events. Illusionary magic is too changeable. Sorry, I've lost his accent. Illusionary magic is too changeable. It is illegal, and this what you are trying to show is not is remissible in any court across the land. So turn it off. Turn it off right now. And Talmash looks very annoyed and just taps your forehead, and the picture goes away.
Well, I'm sure a place like this must have some kind of security system.
So, I mean, any kind of sort of recording, visual recording is HARP Technologies. Mm-hmm. Hi, Dig. So we got started a little bit. I'm just going to recap on what you missed. Nothing, I mean, a little bit major, but nothing like, I can't recap very quickly. So Liramir arrived. He revealed that the Luxiana Delta territory has been captured, and Varix no longer needs the papyrus, which is pretty shocking. Varix is about to just kill you guys, and Liramir has said that he's going to take Eldorian. But then HARP Industries raids the casino because they were watching the whole time through Niramor. And they brought a dwarvish Justicar with them. The Justicar, they start arguing about legalities. The Varix's lawyer appears, his magical lawyer. And now they are basically Talmash from HARP was about to use the evidence from Niramor's memories, the recordings that she made, but Auric, who is Varix's lawyer, cites a law that basically says that illusion magic is not is remissible in a court of law. Any kind of court situation, illusion magic is not permitted, and therefore it is they can't use any of the recording. That was the whole thing that motivated the Justicar to come here in the first place. And that's where we are now. So where was I? Sorry, I lost my place. Hold on one second. I'm going to grab a notes.
Are we still in the cage?
Oh, also, You have been released from the cage. You can feel free to do something now. Niramore did just try to punch Nyx, but a guard who was guarding the Justicar, a dwarvish guard, stopped her and very kindly, with large, kind blue eyes, told her it was a bad idea.
They meant Varix. Tried to punch Varix, not Nyx.
Yeah, I guessed and hoped because that would be better.
Sorry, you're Nyx. I apologize.
Niramore just turns around and is like, yeah, you take this.
Why? Why?
Oh, sorry, I got confused there for a second. You guys
You
look
look
so
so
much
much
alike.
Just punch the prettiest person in the room. I knew it!
If I get another chance, I'm going to try it again. She's super not happy that he, almost killed her friend. But
Nyx, now that you're free, do you want to try something?
Do a little jig or something?
Who has my sword?
I think you have it. Oh no, also the flesh golems were all killed by basically a gnome SWAT team.
Okay.
So your sword, which was taken from you, is now on the floor.
Well, I would like to pick that up.
Okay.
And I'll just put it away for the time being.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the conversation there's a lot of stuff I want to do, but it's mostly bad ideas. So who's like, I realize I just kind of jumped into things, but like who's kind of talking and having this
so right
democratic
now
argument?
Varix's lawyer Auric is arguing with Kalmash about the sort of legality of
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do then. I do have an idea, it turns out. Neat. I didn't think I did, but here we are. I'm going to look over at Varix while those two are arguing, and I'm going to cast Whisper. And I'm going to say...
Wait, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Is this room still magic?
That was the cage that we were in, which is why I was like,
That was the
Yeah,
cage.
you're no longer in the
Okay,
cage.
I thought it was the room. Sorry. Okay, we're good.
No, just a cage.
Yeah.
You now have access to magic again.
yeah. Weird, Val. Weird.
What did Val say?
Someone is just playing guitar outside her window. I assume they're... Sorry.
A real life bard.
Yeah, definitely there's someone desperately in love with you outside that window right
Yeah,
now.
probably.
I
Don't
don't
think
I
that
don't
makes
think they're
sense.
playing for me because I can't see what it is.
I think they definitely are, for sure. We should
What do you
definitely assume that.
whisper?
Sorry. Right, Dungeons and Dragons. So I cast Whisper to hop into Varix's brain for a moment. And I say, Varix, do you know, you never did answer my question. Does your mother know what you're doing right now? Because I was thinking to myself as I came down here, here you are skulking about, making deals with non-northern elves, kidnapping young women, and I cannot imagine that the general of all people would feel very good about that. It's funny, you and I might have a little more in common than I ever thought.
And he looks back at you and points, and you hear his voice say, I am doing everything I do. Sorry, I am doing everything I do for our people.
Yes,
My
but it's the way you're going about it that I'm bringing into question, Varix.
I don't have to explain my methods to you.
No,
All
not
people.
to me. Not to me. I don't care what you do. To Mother, though. How do you think she'll feel about this? The little details of it.
She will be happy with the results. That's all that matters.
When in your entire life has that been the case, Varix? When has she been happy with the results?
I don't have to listen to you, you know. I'm in the middle of something, so could you, like, save it?
It's funny because of magic, you do have to listen to me at the moment.
Have the greencoats left the room?
Oh, no, the Greencoats are just sort of observing.
He's just
all
still
of
there.
this. He's being also detained, held by the wall of heavily armed gnomes, and they're still arguing, and there comes a point where the fact that that there are two people in here who observed the actual device in question are brought up, and the Justice Car
The illegal harp
"All right.
device.
Moana, Ms. Moana, Ms. Niramore, may I speak with you?
I hold out my hand to Moana.
Do you want me to play the part?
Sure.
Okay,
Do you
sorry, I
want
didn't realize
to
she had. Okay, Ms. Niramore, you first. It was your apparent recording that caused this. Still not sure about that technology and the legality there, but we're going to assume for this particular judgment that you are a person. So, what did you see?
Well, I could tell you or I could show you.
I would rather you tell me. That is the legal way to do this.
What specific part do you want to know about?
I want to know if what Mr. Talmash here, what Talmash claims is true, that Varix was making use of HARP patented technologies without authorization from the HARP company.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you describe what you saw to me?
I saw my friends, and I gesture towards Team Sewer. I saw my friends in this facility being attacked in real time. And if that was being recorded, then that must have been HARP technology, right?
This is ridiculous. This testimony. These are intruders, violent intruders, who were trying to save their friend.
Excuse me.
Legally accumulated debt. She came here willing. This Eldorian person. She came here willingly to sort out her debt, and she says, "Oh no, she's asleep now." These are intruders. You cannot take the word of violent burglars, debt dodgers as legally valid. These are criminals. They're career liars.
Just a quick question about legality here, if I could, for a moment. And this is the first time I stopped needling Varix for a moment.
Yeah, he looks really annoyed. He's been just kind of trying to ignore you.
Yeah. Good. Great. Does a debt give the debt collector the legal power to break the fingers of someone who is under a debt? Is that something that's just sort of granted to whomever, not some sort of justice of the peace or executioner, perhaps?
Varix gives you a smug smile, and he says, "Liramir, could you show me your daughter's fingers?" And he's just been sort of supporting Eldorian as he's waiting to be allowed to leave, and he just holds up her hands, and they are whole.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. The Justicar says, this is getting complicated. I am going to have to determine this first issue first. Whether or not you were invading, or whether or not there was abuse done to Eldorian. And I am not going to do it in a sewer. So, and he has a leather satchel with him, almost like a briefcase, and he opens it up, and he takes out a box, and he puts the box on the floor, and the box unfolds into a door, and he says, "Follow me," and he opens the door, and through the door you see this.
We can do that. Spell.
Oh, do you know that spell?
Yeah, that's why I just looked in the book.
Oh.
You see this.
Do you want to jump in and do something real quick?
It seems like we're
Okay.
going fine about it. It's okay.
Okay.
A courtroom. And he takes you into this extra-dimensional courtroom and asks you to sit on either side as the plaintiff and defendant. And he says, "We're going to do this properly and legally.
Does everyone go through?
Yeah, everyone. I'm going to hear your arguments. You are going to defend yourselves, and I'm going to make a judgment. You may call up to 4 witnesses each who are not present company. Otherwise, present company are free to be called by either side as witnesses. 4 witnesses, and then he pulls out another thing and he puts it next to the witness stand. And it's a crystal ball. And he says, 4 not present witnesses, they will be contacted via this crystal ball. Do we all agree to this?
Sure.
Hey,
All right.
Josh,
Yes.
can I expedite things a bit?
Yeah, sure.
Can I just cast a little zone of truth action?
Yeah, but you have to do it secretly.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
So, says no, Varix, you appear to have legal representation. Are any of you, barristers, lawyers? No?
I have an honorary law degree.
I don't think that's going to work. All right, we're going to need someone.
You've read enough books.
We're going to need someone who can be trusted to follow an oath. You there? And he points to Breve. You're a paladin, aren't you?
Last I checked.
You'll do. All right, you will be representing, I guess, this group. And Auric, you will be representing the other. Now you have 1 hour to decide on who you will be calling in for witnesses and to discuss your case. And now, so I'm going to represent this as just telling you how this is going to work. So this is a basic mock trial situation. You're going to take turns calling witnesses. And you get to choose up to 4 witnesses other than the people in the room. So you can choose literally anyone that you have met. They will be contacted via crystal ball magic. And they may refuse to testify. That is a possibility. But
I've already got one.
you do have to choose. Okay.
Wait, before you go into that, Josh, would you just remind us what the argument is? What is the case?
Yes. So I was going to have you guys do opening statements, but essentially there were a lot of cases that were being discussed. Right now, This is the case is, were you guys, were the jewel crabs, as you guys will claim, you'll make your case that you were doing what you actually did, which was rescuing your friend who was kidnapped and abused by Varix and his people. Or Varix's statement that you, Eldorian went willingly with him in order to discuss her debt. She didn't like how the discussion was going. She became violent. He was forced to detain her for his and his employees' protection. And you then decided to basically come in and attack him to come and attack him at his place of work. And essentially you broke in, trespassed on his property, and acted violently towards him.
So we're literally just trying to prove that we were here to
To do a good thing, not a bad thing.
Are we the defense?
So it's like, basically he's the one who accused you, so you are essentially the defense, but you're also accusing him. So it's kind of a
Cross trial.
It's, yeah, essentially. This is not a fully traditional American style trial. There's no jury. This is a medieval trial.
Oh boy.
The Justicar has ultimate power. You are trying to convince one dwarf that you are innocent.
Yeah, I've got my move whenever.
We can't call anyone else in the courtroom?
No, you can. You can call any person in the courtroom, and you can call up to 4 people outside of the courtroom.
Is Eldorian in the courtroom?
Eldorian is in the courtroom, and she would be revived if you needed to talk to her.
Okay. Can she just be revived anyways? It makes me really uncomfortable that she's just...
That's so weird.
So we got this person in a coma. We have the power to heal them, but only if really needed.
You would have to ask
Okay.
Lyramir. It's the one in charge of her right now.
I'm done asking my my clarifying questions. Sorry to cut you off. You
No
do
problem.
thing.
Is it just that she's hurt and she's passed out, or
No, he casts sleep on her. She's asleep.
she's an elf? That doesn't work on elves.
It does if you have a magical elf dad. Okay, it wasn't sleep. It was a sleep adjacent spell. It was a sleep adjacent spell. It is
Sure.
a spell of something like,
Coma.
but not exactly. Sleep. Yeah. He made her magically not move. Is the main thing.
Sure.
It's simply a plot device.
It's just
Don't
weird stuff.
overthink it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just that it's weird and bad.
Sorry.
I mean, you didn't put her to sleep.
Is right.
Can I call my witness though? I feel like it's a
Yeah.
good one, and I just want to get it out of the way. I would like to call Colin Edgewood.
Okay.
See what I
Thank
did?
you.
It's still me.
Thank you.
Hey,
Putting him
nice.
on, we're creating a list of Breve will be calling the witnesses.
Yep.
But we're creating a list of the witnesses who you're gonna get.
Yeah, mine's Colin.
Okay. Does anybody else have a witness idea?
I was literally going to say one of the, what were they called? The heroes?
Heroes.
So that was my only idea.
How's about we could also call the cobblers.
Yeah, the daughter.
Okay.
Eldeth.
Artemisia?
By the way, I'm convinced Miramore can prove the whole hearth thing, but I don't know if that's relevant to this particular issue.
What's Eldorian's dad's name?
Lyramir. I can write that.
Lyramir. Because Fanoa wants to call him
Elf Dad Featherman.
Elf Dad Featherman.
Okay. So let's come to a final decision. So we have Colin. Who else?
I
We
say
have Leon
Eldeth.
there? What,
We got
Eldeth?
Cobblers. We got Artemisia.
Do you want to do the Cobblers or Artemisia? You have 4 witnesses.
Is it better to do Artemisia or Zarlathan? Did we get an indication of who might have seen more?
We don't want to out Zarlathan.
Yeah, you don't really want to out Zarlathan. His whole existence is illegal.
Yeah.
Shame on me. Sorry.
Between Artemisia and the Cobblers, I personally think the Cobblers might be more useful just because they're an uninvolved party. But either works.
Okay.
Knowledge, though, is going to be well, maybe that's more impactful. Their knowledge is going to be less specific to our case, but that could be a good thing. Yeah. Okay, Cobblers.
Okay. So you have to choose a specific one of them.
The daughter.
The daughter.
The daughter.
Sure.
Okay. Sure.
Definitely
Because at the
Okay,
very
so-
least, she can be a character witness, if absolutely nothing else.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah.
So Willow and Cobbler.
Essentially wanted her to establish that Varix is a fucking monster.
Yeah.
Gross. Dark. Okay. All right. Could the defense and the could the two warring parties? Yes.
Sorry. Could I cast Enhance Ability on Breve before all this?
Yeah, you could do that.
I would love to do that. I would. Yeah, I would like to give him. Nah, he can do. We can have both. That's like if I'm casting Enhance Ability on him, then he's just gonna have advantage on any charisma checks.
Nice. For how long?
Let me check on that because that's important. Up to an hour.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Eagle's Splendor is the version I'm using.
Cool. Eagle Splendor. So
Low
you
fat
cast
eagle.
that on Breve, and Breve suddenly there's a quality about him where he just seems more just you want to believe what he says, and he looks good.
Does
And
he have a
there's a
suit
kind
and
of-
tie on?
There's a kind of he suddenly is wearing a suit and tie. He looks very professional.
I love
He
it.
winks twice, and you believe the better wink.
They're both the better wing.
All right.
What I mean is he blinks.
So, Aura, could you make your opening statement? Gladly, Your Honor. My defendant is not a criminal. He is simply a businessman. My defendant runs a business, and he surveys several money lending operations and casinos legally operated within Cobalt territory. During a routine discussion with a client of her debt, which I should mention is considerable, she became violent to the point where he had no choice but to detain her. Mr. Varix feared for his safety against Eldorian, against Ms. Greencoat. And then Following that event, her cohort here, these team, as it were, invaded his property, came into his private chambers under two of them, under false names to distract him, while the other three came through the sewers into his property, weapons drawn, murdering his precious pet and threatening his life. You'll notice that he has a black eye. That was one of them who did that. You'll notice his arm, his hand was stabbed. That was two of them who did that. He was violent. There were violent acts done to him in his own property by intruders. They are the guilty party, not Mr. Varix. Thank you for your opening statement, Mr. Breve. What is your opening statement?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury,
Of which there is none.
of which there is one, I'm just a simple man. From a tropical island. Now, I don't know nothing about your big city lawyering, but seems to me when you got a defendant who's a big fat jerk with a long history of stupid things and a whole cast of characters over here who are ready to give us the honest truth about said defendant, I really don't think it makes a whole bunch of sense to be wasting all this time. I intend to prove without a reasonable doubt that this man is in fact a big fat jerk. And even though we do have a litany of testimonies right at the ready, I believe we only need to call one person to the stand, and that would be your defendant himself. Something tells me he will.
Persecutor.
Something tells me he will be ready to, how you say it, spill the beans, as it were. And this thing will be done flippity flop, whim bam boom, and we'll be on our way. Thank you.
Can you roll up the persuasion roll? Just to see how strong your opening argument was, how the judge took that?
With advantage.
With advantage.
With advantage, with advantage, with advantage, with advantage. All right, so first roll is a 19.
Okay, very good.
Second roll is a 23.
Woo!
Okay. All right, so very, very good. I think the judge is nodding his head like, all right. The defense may call the first witness. Mr. Breve, your first witness.
Well, I feel like I could get this overdone pretty quick if I just call Mr. Varix to the stand, please.
Varix comes up to the stand and says, yes.
That'll be enough out of you, Mr. Smart Guy.
Oryx says, objection, badgering the witness.
Withdrawn. So, Mr. Varix, I have just one question for you. Are you indeed a big fat jerk who enjoys tormenting others, not being a legitimate businessman, torturing our friends, trying to kill us via the large reptilian creature, and just being a no-good so-and-so?
No. It's like my lawyer said. You're the ones who are being big fat jerks to me. I was just trying to run a business.
Now, does Varix believe this? Because Zone of Truth is in effect.
That's true. Did you cast Zone of Truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's the thing about 23.
Okay.
No, the 23 was just his persuasion.
That was for the
Yeah, that was
thing.
persuasion. Okay. Here, real quick though, because you cast Sword of Truth, you have to try to do it stealthily. So, roll a sleight of hand check. I didn't realize you had done that yet.
That's all right. I was holding off. I didn't know what the order was supposed to be. 16.
16? Okay, let's see.
Unless I get advantage on that from take.
Please try.
And you see Varix going to speak, and then Auric from the stand stands up and just like real quick points at Varix, and Varix stops, and he says, "Could you repeat the question?"
The question is, my good sir, are you a legitimate businessman, or have you illegally detained one Miss Eldorian and tortured her without cause and without the proper papers? And did you also employ illegal use of the HARP technology vis-a-vis watching me and my friends get rumbling?
Objection, irrelevant. That's right. This is not. This case is not concerning the HARP technology.
Then I strike that last part. We will stick to the torturing of Miss Eldorian.
My lawyer.
I remind you, you are under oath, sir.
I understand. My lawyer has made
And
my
you are a
case.
dog.
I am not a dog. I'm an elf. My lawyer has made my case. I feel no need to say anything other than what my lawyer has expressed.
Yes or no?
Objection. Nothing from the peanut gallery over here. Come on.
My counsel has informed me that we will not get a yes or no answer.
Mr. Stormrider, if you make another outburst like that, I will have to hold you in contempt of court, just so you know.
I apologize, Your Honor. I only wish to see justice done and questions be answered, and I shall be quiet now.
Me too.
I'm going to give him a glinting smile to just seal the deal with my cunning charisma.
As I said, I don't feel I need, or I don't feel I would like to elaborate on what my lawyer has already said. It is he has said everything I wish to be heard.
Permission to address the witness as hostile.
Permission denied. The witness is not being hostile at all.
Permission to re-request.
Permission denied again.
I see we are at an impasse.
Do you have any more questions for the witness?
Yeah, if you could maybe just answer the question, that would be great.
I have
Whether he does or does not want to
question.
answer the question is not the question.
I have told you. You already
I've told you
have.
nothing.
You already have an answer to that question.
Then the answer is yes, you are guilty.
That
That's
is
the answer I have.
That is not what I said.
Then tell me again, in your own words, not your lawyers.
See, the thing is, you asked like 30 questions.
No, I'm specific to the Eldorian torture thing.
Okay.
Did you or did you not torture one Miss Eldorian?
The judge is deliberating.
I
Tabulating.
did not torture Eldorian.
You didn't not torture her.
No, I did not torture Eldorian. I did not torture Eldorian.
Did you request to have someone else torture Miss Eldorian?
I do not make requests like that.
Did you hold her against her will?
I detained her. My lawyer
With
already
what
mentioned
authority?
that. Objection. These are leading questions. He's leading the witness on. He's trying to make the witness say what he wants him to say. These aren't real questions.
My good judge, I do not believe I could instruct this witness as to what to say. I have no power over him in that way. I am just trying to get
Actually,
part of the matter and the truth.
continue your questioning.
Well, my questioning remains. Did you or did you not hold her against your will? And if so, what authority do you have to do this?
I did hold her against my will, and my authority is my authority as the proprietor of the Midnight House.
And in this case, as she was held here against her will by you, she did sustain harm to herself, did she not?
She did.
And that was not by herself. This was not self-inflicted harm.
Not to my knowledge.
No, exactly. So while under your protection and your detainment, she was harmed. Therefore, the action is upon you, sir.
I did not harm her in any way.
This may or may not be true, but you take responsibility for this establishment, do you not?
I do.
And therefore, what happens here is because of you.
It's a big building. Sewers underneath. I can't see everything that's happening here.
But you did detain her, so therefore she should be under control, I would think.
I was not with her when she sustained these injuries. I did not see how she'd sustained these injuries.
If I had an employee and I said, maybe this person's going to get hurt while you're looking after them, they are my employee, and therefore I take responsibility for that.
I did not see any of my employees do her any harm.
Do we actually know that Zone of Truth had an effect? Like, Josh, did you tell us the outcome? Is he
You wouldn't know.
Okay.
Is the thing about Zone of Truth. You'd have to test it in some way.
Is this pen here blue or red, sir?
I hold up a blue pen.
That is a blue pen. That's
It
objection. 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 This is irrelevant. Can we move on?
One more question, if you wouldn't mind, sir. You're being so kind.
One
Could
more
you tell me,
question.
do you, in your day-to-day or even after your day-to-day, involve yourself in any criminal activities? You know, illegal, illicit, things of that nature.
I never engage in any illicit activities. Everything I do is above the board.
Well,
One moment, if you will, Your Highness, Your Justice, Your Supreme Leader. I would like to talk to my counsel.
Certainly.
Yo, guys, what's up? What do I got to do? How do I stop this guy?
He's not gonna respond just yes or no, even if you cast anything on him.
Hey, Josh. Even if
Yeah.
I, as Q, don't know the right thing to do, is it possible that Moana might have read something in the past that I could draw on here?
Possibly. Yeah. Roll a intelligence check.
It's an 8.
Yeah.
Is it-
You don't know much about law in this area.
Okay.
Can I suggest asking him a question that isn't yes or no, like asking him to say, why was Eldorian in your facility today, or something like that? Something that if Zone of Truth affected him, he would have to say like,
Yeah,
the
like
reason
what?
that she was there, or what he did specifically.
That's if what they're claiming is just that Eldorian, like, willingly went and then became violent. So, like, if you ask him for a description of the events, then if the spell worked, which we don't know, then that should make him, say the thing. But
And then if he says some shit like, I don't know, then be like, then on what grounds are you saying that she came willingly or that we were invading?
Yeah.
If he can't say like what she was doing there, then what grounds does he have to accuse us?
I'm just afraid he's gonna just come back and say that she's there because she owes me a debt, and she came to.
yeah, that's why I think you should ask him to like describe the events as they happened.
Okay.
Yeah, like to walk them through, how Eldorian came to be there, and like kind of this, not necessarily like just the reason, but actually what happened, like literally what happened.
Mm.
Like being as specific as possible so that like.
Yeah, because if you're asking him about like objective facts and like who did what, as opposed to, like, as opposed to opinion questions or motivations,
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of dodge around that. But if he's just describing like the physical who did what, then.
I guess if he was part of it, but if again he's doing the same kind of dodge and avoidance, like I didn't actually hurt her, if someone else did, if someone went and picked her up and then someone brought her here, and then he could be like, well, I don't know what happened.
That's
Again,
still.
if he says he doesn't know, then he doesn't have any evidence against us. So he would be kind of stepping on his own case if he's like, oh, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's already crazy to me that this judge is apparently fine with him just saying like it's a big building. I don't know what happens in it, but
Yeah. The judge is very lenient.
That's pretty common in courts, though. I'm just saying, people say, I don't recall.
Oh yeah.
A lot of stuff. That's a very common defense. I'm just saying.
Okay.
that's what we got. Good luck. Go get him.
I'll try.
You got this, chicken man.
Oh boy.
All right, I'll accept one more question, but you'll need to call another witness after this.
Certainly.
I've heard enough from Mr. Varix.
Well, I might have to disagree on that, but Mr. Varix, if you would, please, if you could just paint us a word picture with gruesome detail as to the events that transpired bringing one Miss Eldorian from here to there, as it were, in terms of bringing her into your establishment and when she became violent and how she became violent and up to the moment when the wonderful dwarves came to our rescue, if you will.
And gnomes.
This is the leadingest.
The gnomes.
So you're asking me to recall the events?
Yes, please. Just the truth, if you would, sir.
All right, I requested that two of my associates contact Ms. Eldorian and bring her to me. They did. We discussed her debts. Violence ensued, and I chained her to a chair.
Violence ensued.
And left my employees to walk over.
All right, this voice is literally killing me. Violence ensued. Could you elaborate on that, please?
There was some fighting. My people fought. She fought. I felt I needed to call upon my security to prevent her from doing any further harm to me or my property. And
Who started the fight?
Yeah.
who started the fight?
Yes, you're being rather elusive, my good man.
I never said it was a fight.
Wow.
Well, hang on.
I said violence.
At what point and how did violence ensue, if you would?
I've already told you.
You have most certainly not. Your employees brought Eldorian to your establishment. What transpired to make the violence begin?
Eldorian attacked one of my employees. Several more of my employees subdued her. And she was brought to the chamber outside of this.
And you're telling me that Eldorian came willingly to your establishment?
Eldorian came to my establishment.
Willingly. Willingly.
Well, I don't think I would ever say a debtor comes willingly to be told to pay their debts. Do you? Have you ever heard of a debtor willingly coming to pay their debts?
My daddy and my mama both came to pay their debts, and it was a kiss on my cheek every night.
So I think she came to me with reluctance. That's how I would describe it.
And in the lands that you're from, are there not authority figures who you might employ to settle such skirmishes rather than taking the law into your own hands?
My people do not have a land. It was taken from us.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we living in an imaginary building right now that does not exist in the world?
I was talking of, you asked me in the land where I'm from. I had a land, but it was taken and no longer exists.
I don't need a whole history lesson, my good sir. Just the last few days will suffice.
All right. I said one more question. I've given you a lot of leeway. I'm going to have to ask that you call your next witness, that the plaintiff calls their next witness. It would be my pleasure. I would like to call, I would like to call Ms. Fanoa.
Fanoa, be as elusive as fucking possible.
Fanoa shakily kind of stands up and she looks very pale and she walks over to the stand without really saying anything. She's almost kind of looking around like, when did we get in this room? What is going on? She has not really been paying attention.
Ms. Fanoa, are you familiar with the plaintiff? Do you know
Who?
this
What?
man? And he points to Varix. Do you know this elf?
Yes,
All right. What is your former relationship with Mr. Varix?
I used to work for him.
What was the nature of that work?
I used to do thieving stuff.
I see. So you are admitting that
Criminal activity. Criminal activity. I used to do criminal activity for him.
I
A
see.
lot of it. A lot of criminal activity.
For which you were hired.
He hired me to do a lot of it.
I see.
I'm sorry, what are we talking about?
And are you familiar with Ms. Eldorian?
Yes. She's our manager.
And in the last few weeks, have you noticed anything odd about Ms. Greencoat? Any changes to behavior? Signs of excessive spending? Anything like that?
I haven't noticed it to an excessive degree, but she has been spending.
I see. Mm-hmm.
She's rich, though.
Is she? I see. Oh. Were you aware of Ms. Greencoat's significant debt?
No. Can I talk to Liramir? And Fanoa just is very,
no,
very
sorry,
like focused.
You're talking to me right now. Don't worry, it's I'll be quick. So
what was the question? What?
So you are not aware that she has a history of gambling?
Doesn't everybody?
Do you also have a history of gambling?
Yeah, but it's just a thing.
Have you ever at any point been in debt to Mr. Varix?
No.
That would actually be a lie. You're under a zone of truth. You actually have to roll charisma. So if you want to lie, you have to roll a charisma saving throw.
You're right. I have.
You were in
I
debt.
forgot.
Yeah, you.
I'll just say yes.
And how did he treat you during that time? Was he ever untoward towards you for your debt? Did he abuse you for your debt? Did he cause you any physical harm?
I never tried to fight him on any debt collection.
I see. And so as a result, he never physically harmed you.
All
right. Oh, sorry. What? I'm not paying.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I have to disappear for a second, and then Fanoa rushes off.
Is it or is it not true that you were born into the Luxiana Delta community?
Yes, it's true.
All right. Is it or is it not true that you left that community?
Your Honor, relevance, please.
I'm getting to it.
Yeah, how is this? What are we talking about? A lot of people leave that community.
When you left the community, I'll get to my point. Is it or is it not true that you are the person who stole a priceless artifact from that community and murdered the leader of that community, the Quagmire? Is that or is that not true?
I stole a papyrus under his instruction.
All right. So Mr. Varix told you to steal a papyrus. Did he tell you specifically which papyrus to steal?
Yes. He knew what he was looking for.
All right. Did he say steal that specific papyrus? Again, I don't see what the relevance is this. Hold on. You didn't answer my earlier question, though. Did you murder the Quagmire?
I stole a papyrus.
That is not the answer to my question. Did you murder the Quagmire?
Fanoa kind of stands up shakily and looks right to Learmere, and she's just totally kind of ignoring the bombardment at this point, and she says, "What happened in Luxiana? Where is my family? Is my family okay?
Ms. Fanoa,
Please just tell me if my family's okay."
we just need you to answer the question.
I will answer the question, but you have to tell me what happened. Where's my family?
This is very regular. Your family
Learmere.
wasn't in Luxiana at the time. The druids are still alive. Is that what you wanted to know?
She sits. She nods like very shakily, and she looks a little bit better, and she sits down. She then turns her attention onto Varric. She just slowly, collects herself and then looks at him very steely-eyed. She says, "Yes, I murdered the Quagmire."
Your Honor, this young half-elf has a history of theft and murder. Yes, it was under the former employee of Mr. Varix. Mr. Varix, when he did his work in the country of Banju, did participate in illegal activities. That's true. I'm sorry, Mr. Varix. It's important that they know. But Mr. Varix, his story is one of redemption. He has used his skill, his know-how, that once made him a ruthless criminal, to become a businessman who has worked to better his communities. You will find that he has several charities supporting the kobolds in this very reservation. Fanoa is not a story of redemption, and neither are her friends. Her story is one of murder, lies, and cover-ups. She knew that Mr. Varix knew what he did. His guilt got the better of him. He decided it was time to seek justice. He was going to tell the people of Luxiana what she did. He was going to try to make reparations.
That's not true.
Fanoa wanted him dead.
I never wanted Varric
No
dead.
further questions.
I never wanted him dead.
Cross-examination, please.
Hi, Brief.
Go ahead.
Noah, did you want him dead?
No, I didn't want him dead.
And why did you not want him dead? Please elaborate.
Worked for him. I looked up to him. He was... And she's just kind of like all over the place right now and just looks away from Varix and is just like, he was my home away from my home. Of course I didn't want him dead. I followed his every command. He knew that I was mischievous, and I did all these criminal things for him. Yes, I didn't want to ruin my family or my land. I don't know what I was doing.
So would you say that Mr. Varric sought you out for your particular set of skills? Your disposition towards the illicit?
He manipulated me. He took me as a stupid little girl and just transformed me into this soldier of his.
So, my dear, you are, one might say, a victim in all of this.
Why are you talking in that accent, by the way? Did I miss something?
I don't know. It's what I think lawyers talk like.
Okay, Bree.
This is what happens.
Varix has the power to deny everything. Varix has the power to snap his fingers and make things go his way, and that's in no small part to the people who are loyal to him. Like I was. If things were different, I would be standing by his side today, possibly. I got scared, and I ran, and I knew I could never come back. And now I'm here, and I see the evil of what he's done and what he's done to me.
Georgia, could you roll a just a straight charisma check?
Yeah.
How Jerry made you crying.
That's an 8.
An 8? Okay.
Yeah.
Not a great roll.
I mean, I am being truthful.
You are. But I was seeing how persuasive you were being.
I'm kind of just talking. I think I'm going through a lot right now.
No, that's fair. No, you know how the judge is taking
Reeve isn't even. He's just like, okay, let's get. All right.
The content of your words is going to be worth more than the actual rolls that you make. I just wanted to see if there was any flair.
Yeah. Okay. See if like I cry and then like I lift up my skirt and show my garter a little bit.
Your garter. They both reach for the gun.
Yeah. They both reach for the papyrus.
All right, Mr. Reed, do you have any other questions for the witness?
Well, I don't know any of the backstory, so I don't know what this papyrus is about, if I should try to bring it up or if it has any relevance. I feel a little...
Nobody except Fanoa and you know, of the jewel crabs, nobody except Fanoa actually knows what this papyrus is.
Yeah.
Just that Varix instructed her to take it. That's for sure.
Right. But would it help us to know what it is?
You can ask that.
Okay. Miss Fanoa, we do apologize for all of the undue stress you are under today. But we're trying to get to the heart of the matter here, and that is about Mr. Varix and his personality and his traits and his illicit dealings. Could you please tell us a little bit about this papyrus?
Yes. The papyrus is basically a protective spell, a deep-rooted druidic magic that has protected my land for centuries. And he wanted to take it away. He wanted to remove that safe gate, and he wanted something from my community. He wanted to get in. And now I suppose he's working with the Green Coast, and it's I don't know what's going on. Jesus.
Who's Jesus?
Who's Jesus?
So this was a means to an end, as it were. He was using this papyrus as a way to.
I assume to get in to Luxiana. I assume to get in and take things. I don't know. I don't know what he wanted from Luxiana.
Well, just one more question, please, if you would.
One more question.
Mr. Verix's lawyer, that he is a man who has found salvation in doing good throughout the world, but to truly take ownership of one's past deeds and do good, one needs to pay for those crimes. In your time with Mr. Verix, have you experienced him spending time in a prison? Has he gone before a court? Has he been tried by a jury of his peers for these heinous acts he has done?
No, nobody ever tries Verix. Nobody ever crosses Verix.
I see. So perhaps his redemption is not truly a redemption, but more of a cover-up, if you will.
Oh, he's a dirty fucking liar.
And this is under oath, Your Honor.
Verix, sorry, not Verix. I just read their name, Verix. Brief. Could you roll a persuasion check?
Sure can. Do I have Tig's bonus still?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's still an hour.
Okay. The first one was better, so 16.
16? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Because of the cross-examination, I'm going to allow the plaintiff to call another witness. Mr. Orrick, who would you like to call? Yes, I would like to call Mr. Nix to the stand. If you would.
Sure, fine. Am I allowed to speak this time, or?
You may speak.
Just checking, thank you.
As they kind of swap spots as like Fanoa leaves the stand, I'm gonna say that she kind of catches her balance on Nyx for a second and just kind of like wavers and then like returns to her seat, and she's just like not doing so good.
I have only one question for the witness. Mr. Nix, did you threaten your half-brother's life?
Yes, of course I did.
All right, that's my question.
May I, Your Honor, if I may for just a moment.
What do you want to add, Mr. Stormrider?
If the question here is whether our going in here into Verix's place of business was to burgle him for no reason or to rescue our friend who we believed was in danger, if that is one of the possibilities on the table and that is our story, is my threatening this man really so surprising?
Could you roll a persuasion check?
Oh, sure. I should probably know what that stat is. Oh. I lost my die. I rolled a 17.
17? Okay, thank you. All right, the defense may call the next witness.
Can I cross-examine?
You may.
Oh, I'll stay here then.
Yeah, make yourself comfortable if you would.
Your accent just changed again.
I'm all over the place today.
Nick's just kind of like shifts around in the chair. And done. Go.
Are you all right, sir? Can we get you anything?
No, I'm good, thank you.
You are good. You are genuinely a good person, would you not say? You try to do good. You strive for goodness in the world.
Oh, I strive for all sorts of things in the world, but I feel that it's up to others to judge me, not for me to speak of my own virtues or vices.
Well, so you're under oath here. I'm trying to get you to speak on the truth, if you would.
Sure. What is it you're asking me?
In general, would you define yourself as someone who strives to do more good than bad in the world? Is your alignment, as you would say, good?
Oh no.
What do you mean that's lawful good?
I think we all strive for what we think is right in the world, don't we?
I would like to think so. Otherwise, why are we here? Not to take advantage of others.
God damn this voice.
No one will blame you for letting that part.
Yeah,
of
you could drop it. We love it, but you could drop it.
Fun, but it's tough. If you don't mind, Mr. Nick, can I ask you why you would make such a threat against the defendant?
Of course. Well, I believe we're the defendants.
Oh, out of character.
None of it makes any sense. But Mr. Varix had promised that he was going to harm Eldorian, and said several cryptic things to us about her being tied up and promising to break one of her fingers every hour that it took us to find her, which, by the way, does also mean that he was sort of coaxing us to come here in the first place, which certainly doesn't seem ethical to me.
And to your knowledge, does Mr. Varix have a history of these sorts of threats?
Well, Mr. Varix and I don't know each other very well, to be fair. But he certainly has a history of violence. His whole family does.
Have you witnessed any of these violent actions?
That's an interesting question, actually. I probably haven't. I would love to try and lie and say yes, though.
Okay. Yeah. So you have to beat charisma. You have to beat charisma saving throw.
Oh, charisma save? That's great. That's my good one.
Yeah. Nate, what's your charisma DC? What's your spell casting DC?
It's a 4. No.
It's not a 22. I'll tell you that much.
Did you roll a 22?
I did.
Okay. You may lie.
Cool.
I stare straight at Varix and I'm like, yes, I have.
Sir, if you wouldn't mind just elaborating a little bit on maybe just one of these heinous acts, just so we have a better picture of who Mr. Varix is.
Well, the court probably knows already, but Varix is my half-brother, much to his embarrassment, I am sure. But when we were younger, I had a small pet, and he stomped it to death in front of me.
Roll a deception check.
Sure.
You're elaborating on your lie.
Yeah, I wish I wasn't. I didn't want to, but here we are.
Just that kind of court.
I rolled a 26.
Okay, so yeah, I think it's a pretty convincing lie.
Nick, you're so good at what you do.
Oh my god.
These dice really understand this character.
My sympathies to the witness. This is a heinous act, to be sure. Do you have anything else you would like to add about Mr. Varix?
Anything else I would like to add about Mr. Varix? Only that I was fine not having anything to do with him. It's not as though I wanted to be in his sewer this evening. I did the threatening that I did I did the breaking and entering that I did. Everything I've done today has been to protect our manager and my personal friend, Eldorian Greencoat.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. Miss Eldorian, as you say, is a long-time friend of yours.
Yes.
Have you ever known her to be violent in her actions and dealings with people regarding something so trivial as financial dealings?
Eldorian would never start a fight.
So she is not actively aggressive against her.
Of course not.
Unless anyone else wants to slip me a note, I don't have any more questions.
All right. So you guys have a hard out. So do you want to do part 1, part 2? Do a quick recess, essentially.
A quick long recess.
A quick recess where we can take out Barracks to the parking lot and
2.
just kick his ass.
Yeah, just kick his ass.
I mean,
A
what's
quick 1 to
the
2 week
alternative?
recess.
You guys just keep going a little bit and finish it up?
Well,
It's up
I can't
to
stay
you.
too much longer. And if we don't have Bree, it's kind of difficult.
Yeah, he's the lawyer.
I was gonna say, I can't make it next week. I have a game. But that being said, it's more important for Brave to be there than Miramore, so.
I definitely also can't do next week, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's I
Take
think
a
I
gap week.
wanna ask. Yeah, we can either take a gap week or Tig and Val. Would you like to be here for the? This is kind of a dramatic scene, so if you, I totally understand if you'd like to be here for the whole thing. There's just a couple more witnesses that I want to bring out, just to really tie that bow.
Well, like I said, I think that this scene can happen without Miramore. Although I would say, like, I'm joking, like I'm being funny, but I'm also being serious. That like any chance Miramore has to, like, threaten or assure Varix that she's going to come for him, she's going to do that. Like I said, like I'm being funny, but legitimately, she's not going to let this go after this is over. Either way.
Okay. I think this is an important enough scene that I think I want to take just a gap week as long as we feel like everybody can make it the next week.
Yep.
After that would be not a problem. We just
Let me
have to do a quick review before we do that. I apologize that the we started late, so we didn't get to do everything I wanted to do today.
I think it'd be good too. We I didn't know we were going to have an actual people's court today, so I feel a little unprepared. I was ready for battle. I had some attacks I wanted to do.
Yeah.
We can
So
still do
we
some
might
attacks.
maybe get some
Sure, I mean, you
consent
could always
on what I
do-
should do as the lawyer.
Yeah, I think that would be like basically, literally in this court having a recess, essentially to come up with a stronger case.
Yeah.
Now that we've heard some of the arguments, and then we'll conclude it next week, and then you can also come with some closing statements too.
I had a kind of general idea, but I'm going to throw it out there because it is sort of applicable right now. I was thinking we don't necessarily have to do this for this, but I wondered if people would be open, like if there was a week or 2 weeks where we couldn't all meet, if people would be willing to do like a group chat role play, like over the course of the week. So like people can like talk in character, but over like a messenger or a group text or something to that effect.
I think that's doable for like the interludes, which is what's coming up now. It's going to be an interlude. So like we could interludes are a little, besides this, which is technically just a bonus arc essentially. When we get into this interlude, we could definitely we could do smaller sessions We could do sessions where it's sort of over the group chat. That's totally doable.
Yeah.
I think that's a manageable thing. And then the dungeons are the dungeons are set up so that
dungeons are a little more specific. Yeah.
Yeah, ideally everyone would be there, but we can you can do a dungeon with less people. And I don't think the next dungeon will be we did the last dungeon, a little broken up. The main thing about the dungeons, I think, are the only session of the dungeons that's super important that I think everyone needs to be there is just the conclusion of the dungeons. So yeah,
Right.
I think we can be a little more loose about attendance as far as that goes, because I know that people have busy lives and some other commitments, and I don't want to I know that the Saturday night schedule is tricky, but it's one of those things where we don't really have any other time when we could do it. Because two of us are in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So,
I hope I didn't sound like
and so if we had to be a little more loose about scheduling, also the other D&D session that I do with my work coworkers, we kind of schedule on a week by week basis. So sometimes, we do the next available date that's good for everybody. So we wanted to move to something, ideally we'd be able to have a session every week, but there are some weeks when it's not going to be doable, and I understand that. The main thing is, my biggest concern is that we just, are still able to meet up regularly. And just keep going, whenever we can.
Right.
Because I wouldn't want to take any huge gaps or not have the game. Essentially, I wanted to keep going.
I agree.
Yeah, but we can play it a little more by ear. As long as everybody's willing to make as much room as they can for it. I'll be willing to be as flexible as I can. I know we're again, because we really only have this one day. As far as I know, we have to keep it to this one day, but we can see what we can do in that space. And if we needed to, break it up a little bit, so especially in the interludes where we have some people doing this, some people doing that. If I had to design the dungeons so that, like with the last dungeon where we had people split up a little bit, I can definitely do that. Yeah. So I'm willing to work with it, is what I'm saying.
Cool.
Yeah.
Me too.
All right, guys.
All right, I'm going to stop the broadcast.